Well, hello everybody, and welcome to, I believe, episode 9 of Table Talk, brought to you by the Game Table Cafe. I am again your host, Victor, and I have two new guests on here tonight that I can drill with questions and pick their brains a little bit about who they are and what they enjoy in board games. So let's start off with ladies first. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves to the audience?
Hello, I'm Trisha Groh. I'm very well known as Trish. If you see me in the cafe or anywhere on the streets, with or without a mask, just yell out Trish.
And who is our ravishing gentleman here?
Oh, hey, hi, it's John Surgott here with Frugal Mule Games. And I want to thank Vic and Bill for having me on here. And it's so nice to see Trish again. I mean, my gosh, it's been, a whole pandemic since I've seen you.
There's definitely there's got to be a good pandemic board game joke in there, but I can't come up with it quick enough. John, I guess you're already plugging away some Frugal Mule games there for us. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself? Just kind of who you are in general, and maybe what you do for a living.
Well, when I'm not sitting at home now and working for the largest footwear and activewear company in the world, and if you want to do the decoding on that, it's called Foot Locker. I'm part of the integral overnight staff that takes care of everything that is not the United States, or I should say North America. I'm mostly responsible for everything from Australia right around to about the UK till I am off at typically, it will be soon 4:30 in the morning that I will be getting off of the phones. So I really work overnight. But I've been a game designer for several years. It just wasn't until 2014 that I actually put the company on the map, so to speak, and was promoting my company heavily through 2016. And then I signed an agreement with not so reputable company, which I will not name right now, but they were supposed to take my one product, Stoned, and move it out to the masses, and they never did anything with it. So I sat back and just waited to see what was going to happen. And sadly, 2 years went by, and at this point, they're under legal action with some other designers. So I'm just buying my time until they either go belly up or away. And I will be bringing everything back to full force again. I was going to do something this year, but when we got into this whole pandemic thing, I'm better to just take the loss again this year and just go with it. So it's been 3 years that the company has not made a profit, or I should say had any profits to speak of. So that's the catch of it. But they're all here. They're all archived. I have all the stuff I need to get moving again. It's just that I need to find a financial time to do it. And maybe after all this is said and done, I'll get back out there and do it again. But, yep.
Okay, wow.
And if you've not seen it, I'll just do a quick little flash here.
There you go.
There she is. That's the baby. And and that one happens to be signed by, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. The actor who played the mini pirate on Pirates of the Caribbean, he play tested Stoned at Sea with us, which was a prototype that I made for the one convention, because my goal was to make a third version of the game. We had Stone the original, Stone in Space, and of course Stone at Sea. And Trish actually has her own ship actually designed her own ship, so to speak, for the game, which actually is in all of the Stone from Space games that I created. She was responsible for the Opal ship. Yeah.
I just something popped in my head, John, and talking about your list of games. Geez, I can't even remember how long ago I played your one prototype. You were working on a game that was like about like creating movies and like directors and stuff. Did you finish that one?
Yeah. Yes, I did. Thankfully, that was never tapped. Well, I take that back. That was one of the contingencies that they wanted me to move on, is the fact that they wanted to get their hands on my movie game because it was tied to another fellow game designer, Justin Purvis, who created movie buff, and mine was called oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank now. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. It was called Making Movies, and it was designing the game. It was designing a movie with the actual topics or pieces of it. The biggest setback that was that the set would be over 200 some cards. It was a very card heavy game. Yeah, that was the biggest hurdle on it, was that just producing prototypes. The prototypes would be expensive to produce. Once I got them to a company that would be able to do them, that would be the way to go. But that game came full fledged. There is out on the web somewhere a video we put up on YouTube somewhere, or something that was actually a play instruction through. That was actually recorded at PAX. Sorry, it wasn't PAX. It was on Pub in Baltimore back in 2016, 17. I think I did that. So, but yeah.
So, do you have is there a way to actually get like a copy of the game, like a print and play or anything of that game?
I could probably get you the files and then have you.
I would definitely like that. Because I remember
I'm trying to think.
I think I played it at a Gamers of. It was either a Gamers of Winter or a Gamers of Summer event. And I remember driving home that night after playing that, and I was still thinking about that game. I was like, oh man, and then I haven't played it for a while now, but I was thinking about driving home.
Well, actually, you were part of the reason why I went through and reskinned some of the cards, because you made valid points on some things that you didn't feel there was enough, because the scoring system in the game the mechanic worked on the fact that you would have matching icons that would match on different cards. A lot of the cards had none, but some of the cards did have icons. So when you would play one, every time you would play a matching card, it was a multiplier. And you would then score an extra point for that on the card. Being as such, I did go through and rework a bunch of the cards because of that. I can see my way. I'll see what I can do to see if I can do that in the near future, because the icons, believe it or not, were made as stickers.
Okay.
Because it was easier than trying to import the graphic and put it on each individual card.
Okay.
Yeah, because remember, being that I was, printing my own stuff.
Right.
The catch was the fact that I was making it simple for myself. So rather than putting a graphic on to print just one card, I would lose a whole sheet of paper if I was just going to replace a card. So this way, if I had to do some, I could just reprint them. And I did. I made a lot of changes to it. I have to revisit it because it's sitting. Like I said, it's one of the things where I was to the point where I was happy with it, and that was it. So I don't want to monopolize too much more time. Because
that's all right. I've been thinking about that one lately. So let's go ahead. Let's switch over to Trish. Tell us what is it that you do, Trish, for a living? Tell us a little more about yourself.
Well, I'm actually medically retired.
Okay.
In 2006, I had brain surgery. So considered catastrophic surgery. I had to learn how to do everything all over again, walk, talk, you name it. I couldn't do anything for myself. For about 3 months, I was stuck in a long-term care facility before I was able to go home.
Wow.
And then another 3 years just to be able to go out and do things on my own. So it was quite a long process, and I wasn't able to work, obviously. And so I have been working for the state, and after a year, they're like, well, you can either come back to work full time or not. So I applied for Social Security. It was approved, and since I got Social Security approved, the state's like, okay, you can just submit that you're retired.
Okay.
So I now have lots of time on my hands where I spend board gaming and my other passion, which is Toastmasters, which is a club that helps you with leadership and speaking skills.
Oh, awesome. I think I've seen some of your posts on Facebook for that. Is that Toastmasters, is that like you're just a volunteer, or is that actually a paid thing?
Yeah, it's a paid membership fee. It's a worldwide organization, and it's voluntary. It's a nonprofit, and so you can earn all sorts of awards by completing projects and such. And the highest award is called the Distinguished Toastmaster Award, and I'll show you here momentarily. They're above my shoulder.
Nice.
Is my Distinguished Toastmaster Award.
Cool.
It's about 40 some speech projects worth.
Wow.
4 different levels of leadership projects.
Wow.
It's about, normally takes about 3 years to complete, and I finished mine just over 2.
Awesome.
I'm very proud of that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I always loved when I'm doing these interviews. I definitely want to get some more personal details of the people that I'm gaming with. Like to hear all those little stuff and get to know people a little bit better. That's so awesome.
I am proud of Trisha's accomplishments. I mean, as she was working through her health issues and stuff like that, that's when I actually gifted her the design of the ship in my game. Cool. And it's internally in the game forever because of her.
Awesome. Well, now let's switch it up to a little bit to talking about some games and some tabletop games and board games. And Trish, why don't you start us off and tell us what is it about tabletop games, board games that keeps you coming back to the table?
Well, one of the things they actually told me when I was released from physical therapy after those 3 years was to engage in playing games. That playing games helps your mind create new pathways because mine were damaged in my surgery. So initially, I was playing a lot of games online, and my husband and I happened to be playing in a tournament in Harrisburg, Texas Hold'em tournament.
Oh, okay.
Go around all the Harrisburg area, and I met Doug Howard, who runs the gamers of the summer and winter. I met him at one of his functions, and we were chatting about playing games and things, and he invited me to my first Gamers of Summer. And cool. I had played games my whole entire life. My father was a huge avid fan of playing games, but it had been a good 20 years since I had played a board game.
Yeah.
And I sat down with Barry, and he taught me Puerto Rico. It's my very first modern day board game, and I fell in love and never looked back.
Awesome. What's you said that you've played, games in the past. Like, what would be? I mean, everybody, of course, has played, a lot of the mass market games. But is there anything that stands out specifically for you?
We played just the, Monopoly, Risk, chess. My father knew every kind of poker there was, from euchre, you name it. If it was a card game, I most likely played it at some point in my life. Master, all the classics, Trouble. My grandmother had Chinese checkers.
Okay. Nice. How about John? What keeps you? I mean, obviously, you have like a business side of board gaming and card games and stuff. But what keeps you kind of at the table playing games?
Well, mostly it's been just the fact of having fun. I mean, I enjoy getting together, sadly we haven't had a chance recently to do that. But on occasion, even while we've been sequestered away, my wife and I have drug out, Ticket to Ride and Tokonoko and, of course, Machikuro. I don't want to say that too loud. Just get excited. But I've had the pleasure to play against Trish, and there's kind of an outstanding rivalry right now of people who we've played, and Trish has got some interesting strategies. So myself and Trish have played, and my good friend Bill, who's played with Trish. He tries to beat me, and I've tried to beat Trish. So it's one of those things where we get together. It's definitely a fun thing. Trish, do you remember the time we did 6 people at one shot for Machikuro?
Oh, yes.
That was a monster game. That was a monster.
That was really, really long. I will never play 6-player Machikuro.
No. Yeah. Some of those penalties were vicious.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, exactly right. There's a fine point where you start to break the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's another point too. Is how far to take a game.
I've actually heard some designers that have put out like, okay, here is the game for 5 to 6 players. And the designer of whatever game it is, they'll be like, I wouldn't play it 5 or 6 players, but if you want to, like, here, I've made the rules for it.
See, and that, Victor, there's a whole problem. And because being a designer that I am, I have a problem with a game that if 2 people can't have fun playing it, and just 2 people, then there's a problem with the game itself. There's not enough interaction that's built into the game to get the work done. When you must have 3 to 6 people or 3 to 5 people, that becomes very restrictive as to play. Because now, let's say that, and back in the day before we had these lovely cafes and stuff that came our way, we would always go around picking places to get together and play on weekends and stuff like that. And it was always kind of a letdown if you came up to a game and it's like, hey, I'd like to play that game. Oh, we have our 4 people for this game, and that's all the game can take. It's like, okay, that's great. I'll take next or whatever. So, sometimes the numbers are challenging.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I've seen so many times when games are published where a game is supposed to be, say, 3 to 4 players, and then people will say, I wish you could make it 2 players, or it was just a 2-player game, and people I guess the whole thing, you can never make everybody happy, right?
Right. And that's what I see about games, because you find the games you like. I mean, playing, one-on-one Ticket to Ride is a vicious game.
Oh yeah,
it's a very backstabbing game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, John, you kind of segued a little bit to my next question is, what is your kind of favorite type of game or style of game?
Good question. Thank you. Well, I do like the take that games, much like my own little game. But here, but I mean, like I like games that have a story that you can kind of get into. I am partial to Machikuro, of course, and of course Ticket to Ride. But I mean, I can throw down and play a good game of Splendor once in a while, and some games I don't even own. I like Scoville, even though I don't own it. My buddy owns it. You know, it's one of those games where I will never buy it because he's got it. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, I will never buy that game because I'm not going to spend the money on it. But yeah, my closet is resplendent with oddities and wild games. I mean, sadly, it's not camera ready. Otherwise, I would show you. But yeah, I've got some pretty obscure stuff in there, and stuff that you can't find anymore. I mean, that's what my little take is. I like the collectability of some games, even though I may never play them. But as far as deck building games, I'm sorry, that's not me. To me,
gotcha.
Playing a game where you have to create your power deck or something like that, and then go one-on-one. I never really got it. To me, it was like, it's war. It's just a game of war. You know, that's all it really is. So, I mean, I like something that's got a twist to it. You know, something that, you know, you have that extra spark. Like you said, I mean, hell, it's been my gosh, it's been almost 3 years since I actually came up with the concept of the movie game, and you're still thinking about it today. And it's been 3 years ago, that concept. So, you know, that's where if you find the hook, it's there.
Yeah.
I mean, I still wish that I would have had the time and money to even pursue a few more of the other games I had. Like Get Your Goat is what gets your goat is one of my favorites, and I would love to sit down and get that thing shelled out because it was a version of Rummy in a sense, because you were looking for pairs, trips, you were looking for runs, that sort of thing, and you got scored on how many sequential cards you had or matches of cards. And with the numbering system based on a weight of the card, like the highest card usually was going to be gone, and you weren't scoring points on that card. You're scoring points on the ability of getting that card. So if you were looking for like number 16 out of 21, and it was pretty far in the game, it was probably already on the discard pile because it was given up by somebody, and something you really couldn't get back unless you actually had like. I had a garbage card which lets you dig through the garbage or something like that in the game that do it. So yeah, it's little things like that where creating the game has to have a point to it. You know, there's gotta be some reason why you're playing it.
Right. How about you, Trish? What's some of your favorite style games or types of games, game mechanisms?
I'm one of those more varied players. I'll play just about any kind of game and enjoy it. But my go-to, like I will never say no to, is engine or deck builder. Terraforming Mars, Wingspan, Machikuro. I love making my engine efficient and building that engine. The fact that I can do 3 actions to your 1 makes me so happy. That's my little happy place. And I actually am currently on the beta for Wingspan on Steam, and I was
cool
all day today, and I was so happy.
Wow.
I remember, I'm terrible with thinking about like timelines and how long ago. I can see it over my shoulder here. I have right there is a bigger box of Star Realms. And I remember a time, Trish, you came to one of the game nights and you taught me Hero Realms. And that was one, like, after playing with you, I was like, oh man, like I already got Star Realms. do I really need to sink all this money into Hero Realms? And that one kind of fell a little bit into my mind of like, well, if I really, really want to play it sometime, I know someone who has it then.
Well, and I just kickstarted the expansion, so I have every
cool
piece of Hero Realms with me.
Nice.
I actually had to break down and get the big box because it's outgrown what I had.
Probably my only gripe I have is like this is like I think they came out with another bigger box for Star Realms, but this box back here, it's cool that it's a bigger box, but sometimes the size of it is just a little bit like different than other game boxes.
Yeah,
sometimes I have to come
my
up.
box is really weird shapes and humongous. I think it's unnecessarily large.
Yeah.
Well, and that's something I was going to ask you, Vic, is how much money is in this industry for people making like I want to say box organizers and other things like that. That are ancillary things you would have. I mean, there's a huge industry just on table designers. I mean, it's amazing what's come along in the last like 5 years, even.
Oh yeah. The one I thought you were going to say there for a second with the customized like box inserts. There is some times when I'm like so glad that I did not buy particular like the laser cut wood inserts. I'm sometimes glad I haven't bought them because some of these companies will come out with like, oh, here you go, this fits everything, and then I swear it's like a week later the game publisher says, hey, we released a new expansion. Mm-hmm. And it's like this organizer is just like worthless now if you're going to buy that expansion.
That happened to me this November when I went to PAX. I bought the insert for Terraforming Mars. It has all the little wooden player, well, they're not mats, but they're wooden.
Yeah, like the little, like the player mat kind of thing, right?
And then I had kickstarted Turmoil. Well, Turmoil has already included new boards for each. I was like, what? I spent nearly $50 on basically completely useless.
That's mine sitting right there, and you can see there's a Terraforming Mars box. And then there's two little boxes on top of it. That's the expansion stuff that won't fit in there because I got that insert. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, darn it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not touting my library. I know I probably maybe have up to maybe 50 games in my library, but I have them squeezed into a corner of a closet and a shelf across the top of my closet. And that's it. I mean, at this point, I've come to the point where I haven't bought a new game in probably a good year to 2 years.
Well, I don't know. That's the nice thing about, like such a great gaming community I think that we have in our area is there's so many gamers that are buying games, and then like the cafe, you can just go in there and play something off the shelf, right? So like that, I mean, for you, that's like, you don't feel like you need to own a certain game. Well, that's because you have a lot of options, right?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Me, I mean, I have a collector's mentality, so like, I don't mind being the guy that has the games.
Right, and it's it's in some aspects too. That's I call that that's your addiction. I mean, I perform magic, so a good chunk of what I do is I'm looking at newer books and newer tricks and stuff like that so that I can better my performance style down the road. Right. That's another piece of my puzzle too is, so apart from, doing tech for the world and and treating games, I also perform as an entertainer. So
cool.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to jump. We had a question from the chat area.
Cool.
It says, has there ever been a game you wanted to play but never got a chance to play for whatever reason? Trish, what do you got?
I'm trying to think if I don't know if there's any specific particular game that I wanted to play and didn't get a chance to, or like you said, I would always have an opportunity at some point, either connecting with a fellow gamer or going to the cafe and playing it at a later point. But I know that I've gone to other gaming, not gaming cafes, but gaming areas.
Yeah.
And we're outside my circle of friends, and I would not be invited. I would not be invited to play. So I would just sit there kind of watching everybody play games and feeling like I would like to play a game.
Oh.
It wasn't necessarily a particular game, I just wanted to play.
How about you, John? Is there any particular game that comes to mind that you're like, I really wish I could play that game, but you just haven't had the chance?
Well, and once again, too, there's this whole bit of, and you may actually suffer more than I do because of your large collection. It's that feel of remorse. You own it, but you just haven't cracked it off the shelf in a long while. I went to the expense of buying Tricarion because as a magician, it spoke to me.
Right.
All right. I think I played my copy I bought once with people I never knew because they were interested in the fact that I had just gotten it. It had just been delivered from that. Maybe, and it's just this whole knee-jerk reaction too of things like, I mean, I wish I would have spent the extra jingle to buy all the expansions for what is this, Vulcan Island? I can't remember the name of it now.
Are you talking about the one with the marbles?
Yes.
Well, I have it right over here. Fireball Island. Yes.
Fireball Island, yeah.
My copy's over there somewhere.
I really wanted to kind of splurge and get the ship and get the tigers and everything else, but I thought,
yeah,
it wasn't really the original game. Somehow these guys came up with these ideas that throws all this stuff in and like, hey, it's great, but I mean, so maybe it comes down to the fact that there's stuff that I didn't. Oh, I know. I got it. I kickstarted Trogdor and I've never played it. I own it.
Oh, really?
I never played Trogdor. I've got it. I've never played it.
I know my copy's like right over here someplace.
Yeah. And once you get to, have you cracked that?
One time I did get it to the table and we played it. And now that's one of those games where it was, if anybody's out there doesn't know what Trogdor is, go look up some old classic online flash cartoon called Homestar Runner. I think they're all on YouTube now. I actually just introduced my kids to Homestar Runner here like 2 weeks ago.
It's the funniest show of its time.
Oh, it was great. Actually, I mean, you can't see it because right above this row of board games, the next row up is I have a lot of comic books. But then above that, on the very top of my shelf, I have a lot of little statues and figurines. I have a whole set of like the tiny Homestar Runner, like, I don't want to call them action figures. They're just like little figurines.
Wow. Impressive.
Yeah, that was one, I've had those things for years now, but yeah, so Trogdor was definitely one. It was like, just take my money. Okay, good. I'm glad I played the game once, but that's not what's important to me. I just want to have it.
Actually, what appealed to me was the fact that the game mechanic was so strong in it. It really has a great game mechanic.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, I essentially bought it as research. That's one benefit of having a game company, Victor. Yeah. So
well, we won't go into maybe some details of that one. I don't want that one publicized out there too much. All right. Something Trish said in her last comment there made me think of something that I kind of glossed over in my questions I like to ask people. Trish, would you consider yourself an extrovert or an introvert?
Well, it's really occasional. It depends on the occasion. I tend to be a shy person. I would say I tend to be on the introvert scale, but I also am very extrovert. It depends on the situation. To give you an example, being a Toastmaster, I have to speak in front of groups, and I've spoken in front of over 100 people at some point, and I'm actually currently working on a sermon for my church, the project for Toastmasters. And so it just depends on the situation, but I do tend to be a little bit on the shyer, quieter side, but don't ever count me out if you need somebody to speak.
Now, I'm pretty sure I know your answer, John, but what are you going to tell me?
It's obvious. Yeah. No, you can't get up in front and perform in front of people as a magician. Also, since we had this downturn, I've not been able to go to my improv company down in Lancaster, the Lancaster Improv Players. Thankfully, though, we are moving our theater out to the street side, so we'll have a exposed theater in the near future. If you want to take a look at that, just look on Facebook for them. But yeah, it's. I guess maybe it was the whole thing of getting into theater when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I was somewhat messed up when I was a younger kid, and my parents found an outlet for me, and it was theater. And after cutting the boards in the community theater circuit in high school, I kind of settled down. And then somewhere around 30, I said, "Oh, I've always liked magic. Let me get into that." And then,
cool.
Been over 25 years I've been performing magic, and it's one of the things that I enjoy doing. It's something that, it makes a little extra jingle here and there. I don't do it full time professionally. I have a lot of friends who are that, but extrovert 100%. I mean, I'm the person that I can walk up to anybody in a line and start talking to them about something.
Well, John, that's a fantastic segue for my next question. Because I kind of thought about this question because of like being at the cafe, and I've demoed a lot of games in the past, and I'm an extrovert myself, but there's a ton of gamers who are introverts, so it's interesting to kind of pick their brain a little bit on this, and so. Sounds like, John, you're kind of answering my question on this next one. I was going to say is, if let's say you're walking into the cafe and there's a game going on, and you could tell that there's kind of a seat open, or you're at the table already and there's a seat open, are you willing to jump into a game or invite people into your game?
All the time, actually. And let me read this back to you once. Let's see. I find that not knowing someone adds a bit of a challenge to a game because I'm not going to know how they're going to play because I don't know them.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's a good point. I wrote down my paper because I want to make that point because it adds an extra layer of, well, what are they going to do if I do this? So
that's a really good point.
Right, because I can kind of guess what my wife's going to do when we're playing a game of Machi Kuro, or we're playing Ticket to Ride or Splendor. There is some calculated risk there. But when you're playing against a total stranger, you have no way of knowing what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Which also makes it fun for you, too, because you can do some sort of crazy strategy. They're like, why the hell did you do that? Why did you just convert like four wood for sheep or something?
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah. So
about Trish, now, as you said, since you're kind of more, maybe kind of call yourself an introvert, and you kind of alluded a little bit to an answer to that, but are you willing to easily jump into games with people you don't know?
Yeah. Yes, I feel like I have this like superhero power when it comes to board gaming. I have the ability to ask. I feel comfortable asking, "Hey, I see there's a seat open. Can I join you?"
Mm-hmm.
It is my favorite thing to go to make a table and put one of looking for other players on my table, and teaching people who have never played the game before. It's one of my secret joys, because then I know the next time I see them, I can say, hey, why don't we go play this game? Because I know you know how to play it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I have to share kudos because whatever game I've gotten into that Trish taught, she is fantastic at doing that. I mean, I lean more towards, I want someone to show me how a game is played, or I watch a video on a game is played. I don't get into the rules until it actually pays my meat, because to me, rules are a snooze fest. You know, that's where you get the guy going, okay, well, I see I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this. You know, that's great. Then just do it, you know? Or like, you can do 3 actions there, this, and this. Okay, well, I'm going to do, you know. So Trish is fantastic at getting that point across, and I feel that her skill as a speaker, as well as being empathic to the player and knowing the player's mind, gets that point across, and she does a great job whenever she shows something. So she's an expert demoist for teaching games. Seriously.
John, you just said something there that I like the way that you just said that. I'm going to write this down for myself. Man, that's a really great point. Saying that you're being empathic to the person that's learning the game. No, that's a really interesting way of looking at that too.
Well, as anyone new into a game, you always have an issue of walking in and being very reserved about what you're going to do. I mean, you're not gonna Leroy Jenkins a whole scene if you exactly. You get my phrase on that. You know, you're not going to take the bull by the horns and say, I'm going to do this, and those people are going, no, you know. So
that's like, because I definitely heard some from people that you know, they bring up about being taught a particular game or something, and they'll say, you know, oh, I'm just throwing something out there. Oh, you just got taught terraforming Mars, right? How'd that go for you? And the people will be like, I can tell that I like the game, but that was not a good session. Oh, well, you know, well, why is that? The person just was not a great teacher at all. Ooh. And I've heard so many times where people will be teaching a game, and your phrase there, they haven't been empathetic to the learner, where I think some people, when they're trying to teach a game, they're just like, I will tell you rules and you will understand. Got it? Okay, let's play.
Right. Well, and right. I mean, and you've done a fair amount of explaining of games. And I like your, I want to say, rule-centric way that you actually teach it, because you come through and you go, here's A, here's B, here's C, here's D. This is what you do here, 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 and here. And you lay it out concisely. Some people want to do it and go along. And when you're learning a game, sometimes it's difficult to enjoy the game because there's so much of this going on that you're thinking like, okay, what do I do next? You can't relax and enjoy the game. You know, when you know the mechanic of a game, you can do that. The reason why I go back to rules is because I forget what the damn setup is sometimes when I'm trying to you know, set a game of Ticket to Ride out. You know, I'm like, I don't know how many cards to put out or whatever. It's the thing. Whereas when you play a game often enough, like well, Trish will cop this. Trish and I, we adopted the Bright Lights Big City layout, right, Trish? Whenever we play Machi Kuro.
Yes, I like that.
And people are blown away at this. They're like, what? And it was such a great addition to the game, but Bright Lights Big City, I don't like it that much. There's something. I don't know. Do you feel the same way too, Trish, about Bright Lights Big City?
I've never actually played that version. I just adapted their setup.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because the problem with the original layout with Machi Kuro is that you had 2 stacks, Trish, and you would lay out 10 cards, and that was it. And you got whatever came up.
Oh, now I'm trying to remember which way which way it went.
Yeah.
Because isn't one of the ways where they're all set up
It's
like each
static.
individual stacks?
Yeah, they're just static stacks. They don't change. That's the original.
Oh, okay, that's the original.
Then Harbor added the ability to have a deck per se, and any copies would just stack on top of itself. But you always have 10 different
right. That's right.
purchase, and they would change during the game.
Yeah, the nice thing
about Big City, what they did was they separated 1 through 6, 6 through 13, and then the purples. They did 3 stacks, and then each stack had a certain number of cards.
There are 5 cards for each, and then there's only 2 cards in the purple.
Or something.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So I enjoyed that much. It would prevent the initial first hand of not being able to buy anything because you just had a poor
or the saturation of sushi restaurants.
Right.
Like, since we're obviously Machikoro coming up a lot, why don't we talk about some of your favorite games? And I just like to preface this question with, this doesn't have to be like literally a top 3, because I always find it so hard in almost anything I do. Like, what's your favorite, whatever, pizza topping or something? I'm like, I can't pick one. Like, I can't tell you my favorite, so I'll give you a selection of favorites. So, Trish, why don't you give us one of your 3 favorite games that comes to mind?
Anyone who knows me knows it's going to be Terraforming Mars is my favorite one. Most likely because they've put the most money into
little bias.
I have 3D printed models. I have upgraded everything and all the expansions. So yeah, that's my number 1.
Awesome. Let's switch. I will go back and forth.
Okay, sure.
One for it. So, what do you got, John?
I'm going to go way back in the annals of time, and Trish knows about this too. My end-all game, which is no longer published anymore, is a classic from the people at Cheap Ass Games called Before I Kill You, Mr. Bond. It was probably the genesis of me getting into gaming, that game alone, because it just had this funny treatment of, you are a villain and you're building your secret lair. And what was fun is that the game allowed you to vocalize what you were doing. And there were crappy things like a facsimile machine and an espresso machine and the robots and stuff like that. You would just have these stupid things you put in your lair to help trap a spy. So sadly, there's been several iterations of that game. I own them all, I'm proud to say. And the last time I played, the newer one just isn't as fun of it. And because of Broccoli family, James Best and all the people there could not do that. So they changed it to the spy game is what they call it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you look on, it's
now it's called Before I Kill You, Mr. Spy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's just, I used to wrap that game around at one of Doug's annual conventions. I actually ran several what I call bondathons, in which we had a section of games where we would play that game, and I had 3 versions of it: the original, a black and white version that came out, which was a step up, and then finally the one you were seeing there, Before I Kill You, Mr. Spy. And then I also interlaced that all with a whole bunch of Bond trivia and video clips from a DVD game that I had. So I just went ape crazy at several conventions. I gave out movies. I gave out kits of like flashlights and gun cases or ammo cases. So I had a lot of fun with it, over the time, because I loved, hosting that. Just awesome. Like whenever I go to a thing, and Trish would always be hosting Machikoro games because that's what she was good at.
Well, bringing it back to Trish, how about what's the number 2 game then? that you want to put on the list?
Number 2 would be Puerto Rico. My first love. Introduction to wargaming, and I have to say I've managed to beat the master twice.
Nice.
It's the last 4 years that I've been playing. So I've managed to beat Barry twice. So I've accomplished that. I'm to the level that I'm able to actually win over him.
Nice.
I've had the pleasure. I've had the pleasure to play against Barry as well, and Doug too. That Doug is a very good player.
That's very good. Yes.
Of Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Have you played the card game version San Juan?
I know about it. I haven't really played it.
Have you played Race for the Galaxy?
Yes.
What's your thoughts on Race for the Galaxy?
I like Race for the Galaxy. I've only played it digitally, so
okay.
And maybe I would like it better if I could actually. There's just something quite missing in digital.
Yeah.
And I think I would do better if I had the cards physically in front of me, where I could actually look at them and understand what I was doing a little bit more.
So San Juan is like Race for the Galaxy, but with a Puerto Rico element to it. And I've only played Puerto Rico one time actually, but I've played San Juan a lot. And so some people have, they've played both. You could see the crossover of it, but it's kind of a big fan of San Juan. So sometime you have to check that one out. So
I believe there's a digital version on my tablet.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Last time I had San Juan app on my phone, I can't remember if it was like a legitimate digital copy. It was like some random company kind of, made their own version out of it or whatever. All right, John, what's number 2 for you?
Wow, I'm kind of torn because as much as I do like Machicuro, it's Puerto Rico. I don't own a copy of it. I've actually tried to find a copy of it. But no one's got it it's hard to find now because it's been so long out of publication that, unless you want to spend buku amounts of money for it. And believe me, I also love to play with Trish's because she spent the money and she bought all the wooden parts to it. It's fantastic, all the wooden parts. It's even better than having just little brown men. But I really am partial to, playing a lot of my own games, but if I were to say there was one game that I kind of enjoy playing, it probably is Spice Road.
Century, right?
Yeah,
Century Spice Road. Okay.
Century Spice Road. And for me, I've seen the Gollum version of it, and I've seen the gameplay of the other one that came out. But for me, the Spice Road, once you get to it, I like the whole premise of it answers the question of why are you playing this game? And once again, too, it's one of the few, and as I said earlier, I don't like deck building games, but to me, I don't really take that one as a deck building game. I like Trish's way of saying it. It's an engine builder. You're trying to build an engine to do your work and get one over on your fellow players, because with that, you are fighting for getting the pieces to buy the end-all charge points too. And it's so much fun to watch your fellow player go, oh, I was one piece away, or I was going for that, Yeah. It's always fun to kind of, get that moment.
And so, Trish, what's your number 3 on the list? Oh, still there, Trish? Did we lose her?
Did she slide off?
Well, maybe she's internet just dropped a little bit. So let's see if she'll come back on. Oh, there you go.
Here you go.
You're back. Okay.
Temporary internet issues. What I was saying is this third game is new to me. It's called Russian Railroads, and
that's
big fan of worker replacement. Awesome. And Susan Board Game Arena showed me how to play, and it's now one of my favorites. We play it all the time.
Oh, That's such a good Russian Railroads is such a good one. And to tie it back to an earlier question and one that John was mentioning about, where you have those games that you don't get a chance to play. Russian Railroad, they have 2 expansions, which also not a great title for when you're coming out with the expansions. There's, of course, base game of Russian Railroads, and then there's Russian Railroads, German Railroads, and then Russian Railroads, American Railroads, which is just like the weirdest name for I think for expansions. But I have like never played my own copy of the American Railroads one. I'll have to put that one, like, once we get out of this whole COVID-19 one, I'll have to make sure I keep that one handy. We'll get that one to the table, Trish, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's such a great one. All right, John, what's your number 3 then?
Well, as much as I like Puerto Rico, I don't own it, so I can't really play it all that often. I'm gonna have to say it's Tokonoko. I like it because once you get to it, it comes back to the whole point of, why am I playing the game? I am a panda. I'm hungry. I'm going to get one up on the gardener and just have fun. And so it's a nice game that it's simple enough that I can play one of them with my wife, or I can play with up to 4 people. And the nice thing about that game too is you're not doing the same thing every turn. Mm-hmm. You have the randomness of the die that helps will help you sometimes or greatly hinder you, in playing that game.
Right.
And then of course, like it's that whole of, either there is a little bit of coordination there with, your fellow players, because if I put down a tile, I'm trying to go for maybe a certain layout for the game, and someone puts the tile in the wrong place. Now I'm blown out of the water. Well, I just lost a whole bunch of points for putting where I put my thing. So
right.
Yeah, number 3 would be that one. So
that's cool.
Absolutely.
They they have like a big giant size like deluxe version of Takenoko.
Yeah. I splurged a little bit and got alternate player cards a while back. I snagged those from somebody. But yeah, spending a couple $100 for a larger version of it, I'm okay. The version I have is big enough to play. I don't need to take up a whole table with it. Yeah,
I think they did. I really want to say that they did like a Kickstarter or something to like reprint it. One of some company out there, I think they went to reprint it, and I feel like I found out about the that campaign like just after it ended, and I was like, well. And then I was kind of like, you know what? It's probably for the best. Like, I don't need that, expensive copy. The normal game, of course, is still fantastic. So I was it got saved for myself, I guess. Well, I think about it's close to wrap this up here. So I want to give you guys last chance. If there's anything, of course, you want to plug, and anything, last comments you want to mention or talk about, feel free. Why don't you go ahead, John? I know you're going to give us one more plug on your game company.
Okay. So it's out there. It's on the web. It's frugalgames.com. I still own the rights to it for at least like till the tail end of, I think, 2025 or something. Maybe I bought up that far. Also, I'm on Facebook. If you're really interested in a copy, I have a few laying around here yet. I do say few, and I do mean few. There's no plans to repress the decks at any time at this point because of the financial end of it. Because it was an on-taking to get them done the first time, and even though I got enough to do the other versions, like I said, I'm going to wait. I'm going to kind of hold off here a little bit to see what comes on, because supposedly sometime in April, there was going to be the publisher was going to be dragged into court he was dragged into court on court TV or something like that. One of the You know who I'm talking about now.
Because I actually had on my calendar. Yep, right there. I had on my calendar. There was going to be an episode of People's Court.
Yep, that's it.
Oh, and I had on my calendar beginning of April, and I forgot to look it up to see the episode of it air.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make myself another note.
Yeah, because if it did get to air, once you get to with all the stuff that's gone on, who knows? And I'm sure that there was a lot of stuff after that too. I don't want to go into the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, I'm going to come back. Frugal Games is not dead by any means, and we're gonna be coming back stronger in the near future. I'm looking at some financiers that are going to give me a hand in the near future to get things moving along.
Awesome.
And I think the marketplace is going to soften up soon because a lot of stuff is not getting published or put out there. Hello, Mr. Cat. Yes, that's one of the two. I was waiting for someone to get on the camera. But that plus if you want to be entertained and you're not too far from Lancaster County, once we start back up again, our new street side theater will be open with very limited show capacity because of the size of it. Because we're working on a digital arm for that too. So what you may be seeing is me come through as a co-host or to be hosting some things from there, because we're actually going to be designing it as a theater and a studio as opposed to just a theater. So that's our pressing point for our company in the near future. And if you need a magician, get a hold of me. I'm on Facebook.
Cool. Trish, any last words from you? Anything you want to plug or anything you want to say to the viewing audience?
Thank you. I will also plug Frugal Games. Amazing selection of different games. Stone, obviously, our first look into John's repertoire. And I would highly suggest you check out whatever versions he might still have laying around. For myself, you're into Toastmasters, I'll probably see you online because we're only able to visit online. All our meetings are online right now. Mm-hmm. And if you're interested, you can message me on Facebook. When I do my sermon, it will be live streamed, and I will send you the link.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for taking a little bit of time out of your night here to talk with me, and looking forward to being able to physically get back to the table and play some games.
Yes, can't wait.
The virtual gaming, it is definitely fun. And if anybody watching this doesn't realize that the Game Table Cafe has their Discord server going, and lots of people on there looking to play games. Just a matter of finding time of the day. That's my issue. So thanks again, guys, for coming on. And for you guys that are watching, thank you for tuning in, and look forward to seeing you guys at the table. So have a good night. Bye-bye.